Making headlines tonight, health officials worried about the outbreak of deadly diseases like measles in the region. The government and the opposition trade words over cannabis laws. A new NVQ to be added to the schools, and long-standing administrator Esther Maynard voted off the board of the BOA.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. The threat of vaccine-preventable illnesses like measles is a very real problem in Barbados and the region. This suggestion from Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George. Dr. George made the comment on the sidelines of a child health workshop this morning at the Savannah Hotel. The workshop was presented by the Ministry of Health and Wellness in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization. Participants in the workshop were mainly drawn from the island's polyclinics.
Who would have thought that we would be seeing measles outbreak in both Canada and in North America when this region was declared measles-free several decades ago? So we are back to square one, and I would like to encourage the public with respect to having their children immunized. Barbados' immunization program is one of the most comprehensive in the region. There are few countries that can match us in terms of what we give our children, from hepatitis B to measles, mumps, rubella, polio. We give pneumococcal vaccines. We give vaccines to prevent cervical cancer. So it's a very, very broad range.
In attesting to the high-quality vaccines that are made available by PAHO, the health officer says it's important that Barbados avoids falling behind with its vaccination rates.
About 10 years ago, our coverage rates were 90 to 95%, but that has fallen, particularly with the MMR. I'm worried about that because there's a lot of fake news in the press with respect to MMR and what it's associated with. These are unproven. And I think that I would just like, again, the public to join us in our effort. As I said, we have a very comprehensive vaccine program.
Barbados and other countries in the Western Hemisphere have been encouraged to work together to secure their rightful share in the world's cultural market. This appeal from Minister of Culture John King during the opening ceremony of the OAS meetings of the Ministers of Culture and highest appropriate authorities. More from Sharika Griffith.
What do Bob Marley, Eddie Grant, Sparrow, Shakira and Rihanna have in common? Well, according to Culture Minister John King, they've all been flying the cultural industry's flag for their respective countries in the Western Hemisphere. But he believes in a world that has been built on a philosophy of the fittest, countries in this region must unite if we are to be craftsmen of our fate.
What is needed now is greater cooperation amongst ourselves. We can no longer go forward alone. As a bloc, we stand to make considerable inroads into the world's creative economy that is said to be worth billions.
However, Minister King says this will require member states to have adequate legislation in place to protect the various sectors.
It means building the necessary framework to enable cultural practitioners to be able to access each other's markets. And every effort must be made to sensitize potential funders, local banks, credit unions, and international lending agencies. They must be able to see investment in the creative sector is a viable business, but it is also not only for profits or loss, but it must be seen as an investment in the survival of our creativity, our culture, and most importantly, our people.
Meantime, Permanent Secretary Jehu Wiltshire supports the creation of a cultural satellite account so that the sector's contribution to the economy can be clearly seen.
Measuring culture will not only demonstrate its economic contribution, but assist us in making the critical arguments for more resources, I certainly wish to be in a position when we are discussing our estimates and our budget to say to the Minister of Finance, the creative industries make this percentage contribution to the economy in terms of GDP.
The opening ceremony included a performance by Cultural Ambassador Dr. Anthony Gabby Carter.
Cash box and billboard must go from the West Indian and Latin culture to grow.
Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
The opposition People's Development Party is worried about what it describes as hasty undertakings surrounding the proposed medicinal cannabis bill. During a media briefing at the office of the opposition leader, PDP spokesperson Paul Gibson claimed certain critical advancements have been made, even though the bill has not yet been passed.
How is it that a cannabis licensing authority was incorporated in Barbados on July 26, 2019? July 26, 2019. How is it that a private company, BIM Medical Cannabis Limited, was incorporated in Barbados September 19, 2018? We would wish to ascertain whether these actions to establish these entities before the passage of the bill is legal. To incorporate is not a problem, but we wanted to look at the legality of it. If it is thought to be legal, is it ethical? And if ethical, is this action transparent?
Brandishing a certificate of incorporation of the new Barbados Cannabis Licensing Authority, Mr. Gibson charged that the bill will transform the societal landscape of Barbados. According to him, there's no need to rush. But in response, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Indar Weir has described the charge as unfortunate and misinformed. He says government has been proactive in starting to put a framework in place so that if the legislation is passed, business can start quickly.
So that issues as it relates to the granting of licenses, due diligence checking, being able to respond to people quickly, being able to assuage people's concerns in terms of who can participate and who cannot participate. We do not have time to sit down and wait till legislation is passed, then to be able to put these things in place. We have to be very proactive and very nimble in what we're doing.
Minister Weir says what was done is just good governance.
Basically, you can't have a medicinal cannabis industry being established in Barbados and you're playing catch-up when people want answers. So that is the hardcore reality of it. I deem the statement to be nothing other than malicious.
The Labour movement will be represented among the stakeholders attending the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting next year. This was revealed by Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations Colin Jordan as he addressed the Congress of the Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, or CITUSAB's midterm delegates conference. He says government recognizes the trade union movement as a valuable partner and hopes to take the message across the region.
Government has, in its drive to move the social partnership idea across the Caribbean, has just gotten the Conference of Heads to agree that both the labour movement and business will be represented at meetings of the CARICOM Heads of Government. And that will be done through the Caribbean Congress of Labour, representing labour, and an organization that is in the process of being developed to represent business across the Caribbean.
Yet another subject is to be added to the ever-growing list of national vocational qualifications being offered in secondary schools across this island. That's what our Sharika Griffith found out when she visited a youth symposium put on by the Small Business Association.
Starting next month, a Level 1 National Vocational Qualification in Entrepreneurship is to be introduced in several secondary schools. This was revealed by Program Manager of the Small Business Association, Andrea Taylor.
We will be introducing as NVQ, a National Vocational Qualification, which will take our children now to receive certification. This was endorsed by the principals of the secondary schools who saw the need for our program as a useful program, and they would have engaged us through letter to endorse us, and by extension we would have taken that endorsement to the Technical Vocational Qualification Institution, TVET Council, and they in turn would have been working with us to get this certification, this level 1 entrepreneurship certification into the schools for this year.
Ms. Taylor was speaking to CBC News on the sidelines of a youth symposium, which formed part of the week of events hosted by the Small Business Association. The event brought together students from more than a dozen secondary schools, which participated in the SBA's Enterprise in Action program. That program teaches students in 4th and 5th form the theory of entrepreneurship, but there's also a practical component which involves students creating a business. Ms. Taylor says interest in the program, now in its 10th year, continues to grow.
In the academic year 2018-2019, which would have just gone, we had 272 persons that would have registered and that would have participated in the exercise. The year prior to that, we would have had 230. So if you look at the trends based on what we're seeing from 10 years ago going up, the trends are consistent. We're actually seeing more persons being involved in the training.
As for the success of the businesses created, she used the example of a t-shirt business set up by students of the Graydon Seeley School a few years ago. That business is now passed on to every new cohort of Graydon Seeley students participating in the Enterprise in Action program. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Come November, a select group of local dancers will get the opportunity to showcase their skills on the international stage. 6 of them have been selected to perform with the Brooklyn Nets, the official dancers for the Brooklyn Nets NBA basketball team. It's the second time a group of dancers from Barbados will do so, following the first batch, which had the opportunity this past April. Now, according to the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.'s Senior Business Development Manager, Usi Skeet, it's all part of a constantly evolving partnership between the BTMI and the team.
We really want to make sure that we are touching people at various points across the experience with the NBA, with the Brooklyn Nets, and ensuring that they understand the diverse components that Barbados has to offer. So last season, we recognize the importance of showcasing a broad set of talent from across the island. So we would have featured chefs in the past, we would have had singers come up and do the national anthem. So for the first time last season, and the first time that any NBA dance team has ever done this, we actually came to Barbados and had an audition, and we took 6 dancers back to New York to perform for Barbados Night.
The dancers were selected following an intense 2-day audition, which saw a group of 30 hopefuls whittled down to 16 before the final 6 were chosen. Those 6 are Jaleesa Mears, Ishay Blackett, Cherish Hobbs, Amari Clark, Christiana McConney, and Shari Pollard. Shari says she was shocked to be chosen.
I've been working hard for a while, and not being in the background, coming out and actually showcasing and then it working out for me is something that I literally did not expect to happen. I was there on the day to support the girls, and then Ishay was there, and I was like, I should really do this, and my stuff was in the car, and she was like, yes, you need to come and do it. And I came, and look what happened.
Local dancer Justin Polin is about to embark on the experience of a lifetime. He's been hired as part of the cast for The Lion King being staged in Spain. CBC News caught up with the dancer, choreographer, and teacher over the telephone while he was busy assisting in class at the Louise Woodvine Dance Academy. Incidentally, he performed with the company at NIFCA last year, as he's seen in this video, and won a number of silver awards. Polion says being cast in The Lion King is simply a dream come true.
It just feels like a beautiful next step within my career and in my journey, and I'm just so ready for all that it has to offer me and bring to me, because I know it won't always be easy, but I am up for the challenge, and I am up for, pushing myself and my artistry and my body to the next level.
And Polion is looking forward to what the experience has to offer other than on the stage.
I just want to make lots of connections and make sure that my networking skills are really, really up to par. Because, I want to do more things. I want to try different things, and artistically and creatively, my mind is still really rushing with all the stuff and information that's out there to be gained. So I just really want to make those connections and the networks that will allow me to keep learning and keep experiencing and to keep growing.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now, the Bahamas Red Cross is continuing its operation of assisting those displaced by Hurricane Dorian in Grand Bahama and Abaco. We get more in this report from ZNS.
Bahamas Red Cross has been at the forefront of the hurricane relief effort, providing necessities for thousands of Dorian victims. As they work around the clock to get supplies to those in need, they are grateful for the large amount of donations coming through their doors. And apart from supplying the bare necessities for the storm victims, Director General Caroline Turnquest says they have a special unit reconnecting families and providing counseling.
We have persons on the ground that are helping us to identify and link families that would have lost their loved ones. You know, they are trained to do that. These people would have worked in many war-torn countries around the world, and so that is what they do. We also stepped outside the box. We have gone full-fledged into providing psychosocial support. Many persons are going to need that, so we have provided that support not only in the shelters, but we have provided that support. We have set up an office here where people can go in privacy and receive that counseling.
International Red Cross representatives have also teamed up with the local branch to assist with this massive mission.
In Guyana, citizens who had expressed concern about acquiring their house lots during recent countrywide government outreach programs are being told to be patient. More from HGP TV's Tamika Rodney.
Over the last few months, the coalition government have conducted approximately 7 community outreaches across the length and breadth of Guyana aimed at addressing and rectifying the various concerns of the populace. During these outreaches, citizens had the opportunity to interface with government officials from the different ministries without having to go through the usual lengthy process. The first outreach, which was held at the Square of the Revolution on March 27, received an overwhelming turnout from persons residing in Region 4. The dominating issues aired by Guyanese at that outreach related to difficulties in acquiring house lots, even though applications were made several years ago. Speaking with Nightly News on Wednesday, newly appointed Housing Minister Annette Ferguson said the ministry is urging persons to remain patient as the Central Housing and Planning Authority is making strides to reduce the backlog of thousands of applications.
I just want to reassure my Guyanese brothers and sisters that government is doing all it could to ensure that the housing needs of our people are met.
The minister added that the ministry is awaiting the provision of lands by key stakeholders.
Over in St. Lucia, the Ministry of Health and Wellness says it is preparing for the visit of the U.S. Navy's hospital ship Comfort, which is expected to begin its humanitarian service next Wednesday. The ministry says it expects about 500 patients per day for that service.
Although rumors about the controversial USNS Comfort's hospital ship arrival have yet to simmer down, the Ministry of Health and Wellness expects approximately 500 people per day to receive medical attention during its stint. The USNS Comfort completed its second mission to Trinidad and Tobago on September 11th, to which their Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, said, quote, "Thank you for choosing Trinidad and Tobago as one of your ports of call on this assignment and for bringing us relief for the people of Trinidad and Tobago and our guests from Venezuela. It is not every day that Americans come together, but we've demonstrated that we, the people of the Americas, can come together to work for the benefit of all our people," end quote. In 1 week, St. Lucians will be exposed to a myriad of medical services, some of which include CT scans, ultrasounds, X-rays, blood, stool and urine tests, amongst others. The hospital ship, which has been in service for 32 years, will serve St. Lucia from September 25th to September 30th. In addition to its services on board, 2 walk-in clinics will be made available to the general public at the Owen King EU Hospital and the National Cultural Center from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily.